What's up, everybody? It's Peter Tragos, the lawyer you know, and on this channel, we break down the trials and cases you care most about so you can understand how the American civil and criminal justice system works. And we try to make sure you understand what your rights are in every situation, which is why we try to walk you through the entire legal process while also answering your insightful questions along the way. And while it's not legal advice, it's always exciting. So buckle up for another episode of The Lawyer You Know. What's up, everybody? We're here. The last day of 2022. And in today's video, we're going to be looking back, reviewing 2022, talking about some of your favorite cases, talking about some of the content on the channel, and other mediums that we provide content on. We're going to look forward to 2023, talk about what cases you're most interested in seeing and hearing more about, and what new content or different content we may be providing in 2023 to keep it fresh. We're always growing, we're always changing. We're always going to try to improve. It's not just going to be the same thing over and over again. As you saw this year, we tried some different things, which we'll talk about, see what you all liked, and appreciate all of you, all of the subscribers and viewers and listeners and members that have made this channel what it is, that have literally made the content, helped make it so much better, asking so many great questions. If you have a specific favorite video from our channel this year, post it in the comments, post it in the live chat. We'll look through some of those. Yes, Brianna, we are still in the mountains for one more day. But before we get to the review of 2022 and the preview of 2023, the Lily Dragon made a live. That's awesome. Excited about that. Before we get to that, we are going to talk about the latest update on the Idaho 4. And Mr. Gray, the attorney for one of the victims' families, has spoken out. A lot of us were talking through what they knew, what they didn't know, how much they were involved. They were frustrated by whether or not they had been kept up to speed on the investigation. A lot of us were told there was no suspect. Were they told the same thing? We get some of those answers by listening to this interview that the attorney did. So we are going to watch that interview together, react to it, talk about it. So for those of you that are just here for that Idaho content, we are going to do that up front and do that first. And then the more chill discussion about the year past and what's going to come on this channel. You can be a part of that. We're going to do some of those polls, answering questions, seeing what the group feels as a whole, which is always fun for me. So hopefully you guys can stay tuned at the end for that. Before we jump into this video, I do want to say we have heard news that Rick Hogue had a stroke and had to have some sort of surgery to try to relieve the bleeding or the stress on his brain. I'm not sure about the details and what they're sharing publicly. You can give him a follow on YouTube and on Twitter, and his wife is on Twitter as well, providing these updates. We are still praying for Hogue that he'll start 2023 strong with some good news on the medical department. So we are saying keeping Hogue in our prayers for sure as he continues to battle and as he continues to fight through these medical issues that he's having. So we do want to say that up front. So make sure that you guys are following him as well if you want updates on what's going on with his situation. So we are going to get into, without further ado, the Idaho content here. So hit that like button and subscribe. Our subscribers are jumping up here, which was fun, kind of the last day. Maybe we'll hit 167,000 before the new year rolls in. Rick Hogue is another lawyer on YouTube that makes YouTube videos as well and provides content as well on YouTube for those of you asking who Hogue is. All right. So let's get to this interview with Shannon Gray, the attorney for the Goncalves family, one of the victims in the Idaho 4 case.
The attorney who represents the Goncalves family. Shannon, you and I spoke earlier today. This has been just...
Let's take it off Tragos law speed here, and we're just going to jump to normal because it's a short clip.
An excruciatingly painful day for your clients, I can only imagine. Can you tell me how much they knew prior to this morning's arrest about what was going to happen?
Well, we were contacted last night by Moscow PD, so they gave us a phone call and then they gave us some more details this morning. So we knew before everyone else did. So they did a good job of contacting the family.
Well, that is actually quite remarkable, right? Given the fact that they were going to execute that arrest warrant early in the morning. And so did they?
So they knew this was going to happen, but just barely before we did. So he basically applauds them for letting the family know prior to the public knowing and prior to them making this arrest. But this is how closely law enforcement in Moscow is taking this investigation. They're keeping it private. They're keeping it close to the vest. They don't want everybody to know what's going on. And all of that's really important. And that includes the victims' families. They did not know much earlier than we did.
Did they get effectively the play-by-play as it was happening, as they caught the suspect, brought him in, cuffed him, put him into the cruiser and processed him back at the station in Pennsylvania?
No, it was, the information we received is that they had found someone in Pennsylvania that they had arrested and had a suspect in custody. Didn't give us really any more information than that. Immediately contacted the family and spoke with them. Obviously, relieved to a certain degree and hopefully and optimistic that this is the right person and they're going to, it's a whole nother process now, starting the criminal justice process now that they have someone in custody. So.
It is. I like that statement that he made. It's a much better part of the process now they have somebody in custody. But he also said, hopefully they got the right person, right? Because that's what a lot of us are thinking. Hopefully they got the right person. And he is a lawyer, and this is how lawyers look at things. They don't say, oh, justice was served today. We got the guy who did this. We want to see what the evidence is. And he's hopeful that this is the right guy. They have the evidence to convict, and justice is coming.
Arguably, as you know, being a litigator for a long time and having worked in murders as well, this is the most painful part of the process because it's lengthy and it's detailed and it is uncomfortable. And oftentimes the information is not something that, ever imagines they'll have to actually look at or assess on their own children. Is there anything that the family can think of that would be a connection, a nexus between this suspect and these 4 kids? And you and I talked about the fact that they didn't think that Kaylee had any connection, but what about Maddie, Ethan, Xana? Any thought about the connections here?
Are we going to get our answer that we've been waiting for? This was the number one answer we wanted to hear in the press conference that we didn't get. Does he know? Let's hear it.
Like everyone else, we just found out this morning. So I think that's part of the Moscow Police Department, giving the press conference today, asking for more information about this Koberger kid or guy, and wanting more information about him. I think it's probably.
So they don't know either. And at first, how he was saying, oh, the families and the victims knew ahead of time. We knew before everyone else. But there are also certain things that we just found out. We don't have a lot of the information either. The police aren't sharing everything with us either.
Probably trying to help them out, form these connections. If there are connections or if it's random or whatever it is, the idea that he was a Washington State University student and, lived less than 10 miles away. The idea that there might be a connection with one of the 4 victims in the case is probable, at least in passing, somehow. So.
Okay. The other question I have is Kaylee's sister, Olivia. Did she have any knowledge of this person or knowledge of someone who might know this person?
Well, I think everybody's trying to track down what those connections might be. I don't know if anybody's confirmed what those connections might be.
So it sounds pretty clear that the Goncalves family does not know the connection. They don't know this guy. They didn't see him at their house for Christmas dinner or knew he was an ex-boyfriend or something like that. Sherry is a new member. Welcome to the crew. So we're still waiting for any connection we can find here between the suspect and the victims.
As whether he, ordered from the restaurants that they worked at, or he was at a party. I mean, who knows? I think those are all things that the police are probably going to try to track down within the next several weeks. And the Moscow, the town itself will try to track that down. And now that they have a face and they have a name, it's much easier to make those connections and try to make those connections with the victims in the case. So.
All right, somebody just told me it's pronounced Gonsalves. Sorry, Gonsalves. But he's right. Now that they actually have a suspect, it's a lot easier to get these details and ask for specific details as a lawyer or as law enforcement, as a prosecutor, as the lawyer that represents the victims' families. It is very much a step in the right direction to have a specific suspect name and picture and details about this suspect if you're trying to actually find these connections and get these details. So that is a big step in the right direction.
So another question I have is about the technology, because this is so, so helpful in this day and age to be able to use someone's phone, to go into their contacts, to go into their text messages, their Snapchat, their Instagram. Is there anything at all? Are they doing this at this point? Can they get access to all of Kaylee's information to try to do this kind of digital forensic connection investigation?
I'm assuming that they do. They have the electronics. They have all of Kaylee's electronics.
So he said, I'm assuming that they do at first. And I was saying, like, wouldn't you know that? Then he follows it up with, they have all of her electronics. Now, what technology they have and what they're getting off of those electronics, we don't know yet. So that's, again, we're hearing this through the mouthpiece of the victim's family, which I think is really important. And he knows what he's doing. So we can get this information. We can learn a lot because he's not going to say something he shouldn't, hopefully, as a lawyer and trained in these types of things. So he's saying, I assume they have the technology. They have all of Kaylee's electronics. So we're hopeful that they're going to get all the information they need to see what that connection is, if there even is a connection between the victim and the suspect.
At least they've said that they do. And so I'm sure that that's something that they'll go through. They'll probably go through Ethan's and Kaylee's and Maddie's and Xana's, all of their contacts and all of their social media and posts and things like that, and find if there's any connection with this guy in any way, and then try to work their way back. So that's part of the investigation, I think, right now. So,
and of course, we know other cases where it is oftentimes the case they just have no connection at all. Shannon, please, if you would, pass on our condolences and our thoughts to the Gonsalves family and the other families as well, if you have the opportunity. This is justice is coming, but it is a very painful stage, and we're very appreciative of your time tonight. Thank you. Thank you for watching.
All right. So again, every time we hear from people in these press conferences and these interviews, we learn a lot. We do. We learn a lot. Mo said, TikTok Ashley now claims Rebecca paid him too. He's an ex of one of the roommates. Well, if he is, nobody else has said that. Nobody else knows that he's an ex. He's saying this guy just may have been somebody that ordered from them at a restaurant before. They don't really know. We really don't know what the connection is yet. But it sounds like our TikToking friend is doubling and tripling down still. Ship's Cat, 3 lives in 2 days. Happy 2023 to me. Yeah, that's true. Some of you, it might already be 2023, depending on the time difference. Diane, 2 channels have mentioned that his sister was a next door neighbor. With Emily, is that unconfirmed? Again, nobody officially, whether it's law enforcement, prosecutors, the Gonsalves' lawyer, the Gonsalves themselves, none of them have confirmed this. So again, I just think a lot of this stuff is conjecture. Terry D, Peter, they charged him with murder. So doesn't that mean they have strong evidence? It means they have enough evidence for probable cause. Doesn't necessarily mean they have enough evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. All of us would have different definitions of what strong evidence would be. They have evidence and enough that a judge issued a warrant. But, some people have had differing of opinions on whether or not that's enough evidence. Lita said he did follow both girls on Instagram. I have seen that as well. Are we sure that's his official Instagram? Can somebody just create an Instagram with his name and follow a lot of people? I wouldn't put it past a lot of people doing weird stuff like that. We don't really know. And again, that doesn't necessarily tell us the connection, although it seems like there is some sort of connection. Dana, Peter, why isn't extradition automatic? Why can the defense fight it? They can fight it. Whether or not they will, who knows? I was talking with my dad about this, and again, we may do a video breaking this down deeper. But the main issue to fight on extradition is that there's an identity issue. Like, this is not necessarily the right guy. This is not Koberger. This is not the Koberger that they're going after. This is some other Koberger. Like, this isn't this Smith. It's a different Smith. Different things like that. But usually extradition is going to happen eventually. But we'll see. We'll see kind of how it's fought and if it's fought at all. Sydney Alberts, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you and the crew as well, as we transition into talking about 2022 as a year, looking back, looking forward to 2023. as our final video of the year. You guys have been a lot of fun to hang out with. We've learned a lot together. And I think when we talk about 2022, we're going to get to your favorite cases of 2022, the cases you're most looking forward to in 2023, the content that you enjoy the most. We're going to be getting to all of that. But I think when we talk about 2022, a lot of what we learned was not necessarily just about a case or a case name, but more principles and lessons and how we can do better and how we can be better as a community, as a society, as a country, as a world. And a lot of those details, though, we were able to learn them from watching these cases. And when we watch these cases and we look through these cases and read through these cases together, we can really, really learn a lot. We learn things like victims don't necessarily all have the same gender. They're not necessarily just the person that is less powerful or has less money or is less famous, right? We learned through all of that. We learned that the civil justice system can provide justice and that we can agree with certain juries and disagree with certain juries, and it can bring up conversations about the death penalty, and it can bring up conversations about whether or not there are runaway verdicts and whether or not there should be caps on punitive damages, and how verdicts are not necessarily the same thing as what the victim ends up getting, right? And how settlements can end up doing lots of things and being very, very different than what the verdict is. We learned about how insurance companies can pay for legal fees and how they can pay settlements and they can pay judgments even after verdicts. And we also have learned that if you have insurance, you can have millions of dollars in attorney's fees and a $10.35 million verdict against you and end up paying next to nothing out of pocket, potentially. We learned about pro se defendants and sovereign citizens and how smoke and mirrors and banging on the table, jurors in our justice system can see past that and still make the right decision. And we learned about how communities, small and large, can come together, can trust the legal system, can go through the legal process, can sit through trials, can be victims, can be families of victims, and still trust the system and do the right thing and act appropriately through a trial. We learned a lot about objections and legalese, right? And grounds and hearsay and speculation. We learned about subject matter jurisdiction and proffering evidence. We learned about appeals. We've read some appeals together. How many of you have read through appeals before this year in 2022, or was this the first time you've ever read through an appeal? Because that's kind of cool to do, right? That's kind of cool to do together. We learned about amicus briefs and appellate timelines. We learned about judicial appropriateness and impartiality and what that may look like in one case and not in another, and comparing and contrasting judges. Yeah, we learned about grounds. We learned about megapints. We saw a judge with the patience of Job, as they said, running now for the Supreme Court. Vicky Liu is here for her first time live. How many of you watched your first ever live this year? Not just with this channel, but with any channel. First ever live was in 2022. Let me know. A lot of new things. And there are more lessons that we are going to get to. But I'm going to pop a couple more comments here on the screen. Rosie, happy 2023, Laura, community. Can't wait to see how this channel grows. Alone, we go faster, but together we go farther. I love that quote, Rosie. Marilyn Lawler, first live in 2022. Mia Bailey, Black Beauty. Melanie Jewelry, Vintage with Style. Carrie Lavelle, Stephanie Coker. Helen O'Connor. Peanut Mini, Cockapoo. Helen Nichols. Carolee LeBlack. Tons of people had their first live that they ever saw on YouTube in 2022. And YouTube is really growing. Eileen Park, tons of people here. That's really cool. It's really cool to do new things and find new ways to learn, right? And educate ourselves. Really, really cool. Ashley Ducharme as well. Also learned about 1.5 speed. Absolutely. That's what I like looking back on. I'm not a big resolution guy, but I like looking back on the year and seeing what we've learned, seeing how we've grown, seeing what we've done well together. Let's serve each other well. That's what I think is really cool about our community. Michael Sharpie says CNN reported they used a genealogy database to match his DNA. So that's like 23andMe. and, getting your family tree. This is literally something we talked about in the rights that we waive without knowing it. The rights we waive without even knowing it in this day and age, boom, they get us in databases that law enforcement can use. Sue and Elaine also first ever lives. Nicole, first live in 2022. Knew very little about YouTube before this year. Now you're a champ, Nicole, gifting memberships. You're a stalwart of this channel. Lauren Hertz, Peter, what would benefit BK from reportedly asking, was anyone else arrested? I feel like that's him already trying to lay the groundwork for a defense, but how would this strategy legally benefit him? Well, there's a couple things. I know we're assuming that this guy's a criminal mastermind. It could be that he was working with somebody and wanted to know, were they arrested yet? It could be a tip that there's more than one person, right? Or it could be exactly what you're saying. Maybe he is setting something up. Maybe he is setting up a defense. We'll see. Joy Smith is excited to catch a live, which is always fun. Joy, welcome. Tracy Parker. He is vegan. Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie are vegan. Anthony Todd and family were vegan. The vegan diet, suicide, and death needs to be researched. Interesting. I did not know that. I have no idea if there are any connections to that. I am not a lieutenant. She says, or he says, I love the way you give credit where credit's due and have respect for everyone when criticizing. Great reminder to be thoughtful and not just part of the court of public opinion jumping to convict. And I will say, this is representative for the most part of the entire community and chat and everybody that's involved in this channel and everybody that talks in this channel and the comments that are played in this channel. So I want to put this comment out there to everybody and all of you, because that's what makes this interesting and fun to do this together, even when we talk about difficult subjects. All right, let's get to some questions here together. All right, you guys remember how this works. I'm going to give everybody a second to log in to be part of the poll and answer these questions together. You'll see what our first question is. Now, most of you, just like Mo's comment here, my favorite part of the Johnny Depp trial is 2022 was finding the lawyer you know. Thank you so much, Mo. And a lot of you did come during the Johnny Depp trial. And the channel had a lot of growth. And we talked through that trial, and we've continued to talk through other cases. So the first poll question is, what non-Depp case was your favorite of 2022? And you can post it in the comments in the chat if you want. But this is also a live poll. If you go to pollev.com/lawyer019, you can answer this on your computer or your phone. At the top of the screen here, you can log in and you can actually vote for one of these, and it'll be, like a bar chart, and we will see who wins. I see a lot of A's coming in through the chat. Only 3 votes are coming through the website, so I'm going to wait for a few more people to log on and vote on the website. Lisa McKay is a new member. All right, we've got 10 votes there. I'll wait till we get probably 25 or 50 votes on the actual poll before we show the results. Bev Alford, Happy New Year, Lord, family. Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. You're a blessing, Peter. Thank you so much, Bev. This is a great verse. This is the verse we need here going into 2023, right? And keep serving well and moving well through as we go. So the link is right at the top. Poll, I'll type it in the chat if that helps, .com/lawyer019. So I just posted it in the chat there. If you want to log on there, that is the website to go to. It's also at the top, and then there's the text one in there as well. So these are a ton of the cases we went through this year, right? We all remember Darryl Brooks and what we learned there about the sovereign citizen and those things. Gabby Petito, how we can come together, and social media can be a positive influence. And that's one of the other big takeaways of this year is social media can be a really positive influence. It can also be a really negative influence. It can have us, as a society, gain more privilege, microphones in the courtroom, cameras in the courtroom. But when we abuse it, it can make things more difficult. They can pull cameras from the courtroom. They can pull microphones from the courtroom. So we have to be careful about how we use social media. Let's use it for good, not for evil, right? Because it's tempting. I get it. It's tempting to hit the hot topic. It's tempting to try to get the likes. It's tempting to try to ruffle feathers. But in our community, and hopefully as a society, we can start using it for good, because it really can be something very positive. We learned about that in Gabby Petito. Nicholas Cruz, we learned a lot about the death penalty and the penalty phase and how that can be part of the trial, and how it's totally different about whether or not who done it. You also have to figure out what the penalty is going to be sometimes. Curtis Reeves, we learned about self-defense, and again, how the mainstream media paints a picture a certain way with certain headlines. The popcorn killing. This guy shot somebody else over a bag of popcorn. It turns out, as the jury heard the evidence, they felt like it was self-defense. They felt like it was not about popcorn. They felt like he was in fear of serious bodily harm. Alec Baldwin, the tragedy happening on a movie set. And we've seen criminal investigations. We've seen civil lawsuits be filed and then resolved and settled very interestingly. The victim's family are now executive producers and are going to get money off of the movie that they're going to finish and actually put out there for everybody to watch. And we asked, are you going to watch it? And most of you said you are going to watch it. The Theranos trials, Pete, my partner, broke those down in detail. And they're still happening. The sentencing is happening. The appeals are going to happen. White collar crime. What happens in Silicon Valley? Ethan Crumbley's parents. That one's still ongoing. And some of these you're going to see as we look forward to 2023. There's going to be some duplicates here. But what is a parental duty? What liability do they have in these school shooting cases or when their minor children commit horrible crimes? Mason Liam Josiah, welcome. iPound Games, welcome as well. And Chantilly Millie. Theodore Edgecombe, we see how a self-defense maybe doesn't work and how the jury doesn't always buy just because you say it's self-defense. And then Chandler Halderson, we see, an interesting way to defend. And when criminal defense attorneys say I can sit at the table and I can do nothing and I can ask no questions and not do certain things. And they did a lot of that during that trial. We even had one of the defense attorneys on our channel come and discuss the Halderson case. All right. Okay. We got 130 votes. Let's see the results. Wow. So I guess I should have done non-Depp and non-Darrell Brooks. I did not expect it to be this much of a runaway, but very clearly, Darrell Brooks is number one. Gabby Petito is number two. Nicholas Cruz is number three. The Crumbly parents are actually number four. And then the rest of them, not a ton of votes. So that's really, really interesting to me. Really interesting. All right. Let's get to number two here, because this is looking forward, right? And we've talked about what we've learned last year. What are we going to learn next year? What are we going to learn from these cases? We've already talked a lot about Sarah Boone, the suitcase murder trial that's happening in January. Alec Murdaugh, that crazy convoluted case with a lawyer taking advantage of his clients, committing multiple fraud, or at least allegedly faking his own murder, suicide. Just a wild, wild story that also starts in January. We are popping the year off strong with these top two cases coming right at you in January. We will be breaking them down here. We've talked a lot about Valo Daybell and the cult killing, as they call it, where there is just a line of dead bodies that are connected to these two defendants in this case. And they've been charged with multiple murders. What will happen? The Idaho 4. We've been breaking that down a ton recently. The Delphi murders. Gabby Petito, Baldwin Girardi. We've done a bunch this year on them already. Tom Girardi, again, stealing from his clients as a personal injury lawyer. Brutal, brutal case. The OnlyFans murder case with Courtney Clenny. Again, the Crumbly parents, and Pete's case he's focusing on this year, Aiden Fucci. Which ones are you most interested in? Mo said, are you promising us court in 2023 for the Idaho 4? No, absolutely not. Not promising that case gets to trial in 2023. but we'll definitely be talking about it. That's for sure. John Gardner said too many to choose from. I agree. But which one piques your interest most? Laura Hearns, probably a dumb question, but can any lawyer technically be a lawyer in criminal murder trial? Like, I know you wouldn't choose that, Peter, but technically could you? Yes. Yes. So lawyers do not have to specialize. There are certain cases where lawyers have to be death penalty certified, but on some murder cases, any lawyer can try it if they want to. Now, sometimes there could create an issue on competency. Is this lawyer competent? The judge can try to ask those questions. The client can ask those questions, but a client has the right to choose a lawyer that's barred in that state and could potentially be the lawyer for a murder case. All right, let's see what you're looking most forward to in 2023. All right, good. So we've got a split here to talk about. So the number one is Valo Daybell. The number two is the Idaho 4. So Mo, you better believe we're going to be talking about that case in 2023. Then we have a very close third and fourth between Sarah Boone and Alec Murdaugh, which those are coming at you right in the beginning. So if you're some of the 30-something%, a third of you out there, that is the number one cases for you, then make sure you continue to follow. And of course, the Crumbly parents and OnlyFans are coming up there with Delphi, Petito, Baldwin, and Girardi picking up the end of that voting. But it's very interesting. And as you can see, real time, these keep going up and down. Absolutely interesting what's to come in 2023. All right. So as we look forward to different kind of content, okay? So we started doing some shorts here, and I'm interested. Do you guys like the shorts? Does it not matter what the content is? Are you going to be here for it? Are you going to be watching it? Or do you think we should just stick to lives and reactions and questions and answers? Because the next couple videos are going to talk through some content. I want to know what you guys enjoy. We know the cases that you enjoy, but most of you say you're here for any content. About a quarter of you say just stick to the lives and the reactions, which is cool. By the way, in case you haven't noticed, I'm not going to get offended by any of your answers, because if you don't like the shorts, we don't have to spend time doing the shorts. So the 30-ish% of you that aren't into it, that's cool. I'm still interested in what you think about the two shorts that we kind of did a season with, right? We're not going to do the shorts all throughout the year. We're going to pick a couple seasons, do 15, 20 videos, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll do more seasons of shorts. But between the two kinds of shorts, and again, if you liked both, great. If you didn't like either, that's okay too. Sarah Bellum said stick to lives and reactions, and that's the vast majority of what we do, in case you can't tell. Other people are saying the shorts are funny, but they like anything. Mia Bailey is a new member. Welcome, Mia Bailey. All right, let's see. So the sidebars people liked more than BA lawyers. That's interesting. The analytics on YouTube would say otherwise, but that's interesting to me that you guys, mostly 2/3 of you like the sidebars better. That's cool. All right, that's good to know, and that's important. Next question. So we have a podcast, and it's under the Lawyer You Know tag. Used to be called, Peter's Proffers. Let's go back to the instructions so we can see what you guys think about a podcast. Would you want more of a focus on a podcast, whether it's once? Okay, Bodie just gave us some breaking news we'll get to in just 1 second. Would you want it to be, if we're going to do a podcast, focus on one that's really focused on audio once a week or once a month? Do you not care about it at all? Are you more into the YouTube stuff and the other social media stuff? Because this is what's going to drive our content in 2023. Michael Sharpie said, I'm looking forward to the TikToker trial. We'll see if that ends up happening. And I assume that C is going to be the runaway winner here, since we're actually doing this on YouTube and asking the question to all of you listening on YouTube. But if you also listen to podcasts and think it would be fun to have a podcast be once a week or once a month, the YouTube would not go away. The YouTube would not slow down. It would not affect YouTube at all. We're still going to keep riding with YouTube no matter what, because I just find this too interesting and fun to have this interaction and answer the questions. So those are never going to go away. So don't worry about that. Rich Cat says she loves podcasts. Thank you, Pat. Sarah Bellum, first channel I've ever followed on YouTube. Started following during Amber Heard, Johnny Depp while pregnant. Baby knows your voice. Stay blessed, Peter and family, and everyone here. Happy 2023. Wow, that's really cool. Thank you, Sarah. That's really cool. That's a fun thought that the baby knows the voice of a YouTuber that you listen to. All right. So it was about 60-40 here as far as who would want a podcast and who wouldn't. So I think that's a pretty big percentage. I think we are going to try to do a podcast. You know, what it'll look like, I'll rely on you guys. 60% prefer YouTube, social media. A lot of you said I use YouTube as a podcast. That's cool as well. But I think we could do some different things with podcasts, right? Some interviews, some non-legal topics, maybe some interviews with people I know or people from in town that have different expertise. That could be kind of cool. It's easier for people sometimes. So I do think we'll dabble a little bit in podcasts, and it looks like you guys prefer once a week a little bit more than once a month. So we will see how that goes. So Bodie throwing some news at us. News just said Brian is waiving extradition and going to be in court on Tuesday, which means things are going to get unsealed like that probable cause affidavit, and we are going to be breaking it down on this channel. Pat Turnbow just took the plunge and is a new member. Welcome, Pat. Cheryl, Peter, your channel is a positive and educational part of the internet. I'm so grateful to you and this community. Happy New Year. Cheryl, positive vibes. Positive vibes. That's what we're here for, right? That's what I like. Listen, this is not my job. It's fun. It's enjoyable. I learn a lot from you all. Potential jurors out there. I've told you I tried a couple cases this year, and you were literally in the back of my head as I'm talking to the jury during voir dire, picking the jury and jury selection. I'm thinking about all of you. How would you answer it? And the ones of you that answered certain ways and said, I would be a horrible juror on a case like this. But sometimes in person, juries or potential jurors don't want to admit that. But I felt like I could key in on ones that I felt like would be unbiased, ones that I felt like would listen, ones that I felt like would have a certain bend, a certain way. And you all helped so much with that. So I really appreciate it all. You guys are the best. Mr. Broadway Dork is a new member, and Just Miss Jamie. A lot of new members here before the new year, which is awesome. We're trying to jump just a little bit and get to 167,000 subscribers, which would be a really fun way to end 2022. We broke 100K in 2022. Will we get to 200 in 2023? What do you guys think? Will we get 200? A lot of you have reached out and given me some ideas about, you guys going to jury selection and what you thought and how it was, what it was like. I don't want to know any details of what you can't talk about, but if you don't get selected or after the trial's over, I would love to hear how that experience went. EJ, here's to an amazing 2023, Peter, and my lawyer, family. Love this community and the love and healing I get from you all. Thank you, Peter, Cancer Warrior, and EJ. You are still in our prayers, and I hope to always see you in the comments, especially through 2023. Be in the comments. Be in the comments, EJ, because we want to hear from you and we want to talk to you. Yes, Happy New Year to the chat as well. Thank you, EJ. All right. Next question. What types of topics would you want to hear on a podcast? Same type of stuff or something different? So we went through ideas. This is one you can just type in. And the responses, I believe, will just pop up on the screen as people type them in. And we can talk through some of the responses as they come in. If you guys can figure this out. I don't know if this one's a little bit different. Interrogations. Okay, that's cool. News of the day, life and stuff. That's cool. A lot of people coming in with same. Shan shares. Welcome to the crew. I can't believe all the new members that we're getting today. Lacey P is also joining us with Seattle Jen. Welcome. New Chris 024. Peter Tragos, I'm new here. Love your channel. I don't know what you mean by you're new here, because I don't think that's true. I don't think you're new here, but we're glad you're still here. New Chris. Patty Bilsma, welcome to the membership crew. Jade Silverhill, A lot of people putting same. Ooh, Cheryl Vrabel has jury duty in Pinellas County in January. I don't have any trials on the docket for January, so it won't be any of my trials. People want to see interviews. They want to see news of the day. Let's look through some of these comments here together. Case reviews. If you're going to do it, talk to EDB. Hers is good. Okay, I will have to. So she does a podcast as well. All right. So that's interesting. I don't know what the deal is if everybody does just YouTube, just podcasts, or what. So case reviews, news of the day, same. Types of legal defenses, interrogations, topics that require more research or older trials, case by case. Cool. Very cool, and a lot of good ideas from you all, as usual. Haley Hewitt is a new member. Mr. Broadway Dork, thanks for the $5. I kind of feel bad saying your name every time, but I assume you like it. And I assume by dork, that probably means you're like overly qualified and know everything about Broadway. Mo, what questions are asked potential jurors? I'd love to do an actual pick the jury live. So there may be some issues with doing like a real legitimate one that I do, but I definitely think we can do a generalized pick the jury and kind of how I go through jury selection. I actually think that'd be pretty fun. I may have to make it a private video though and just do it for members and not make it something that kind of goes out publicly there. So we'll see. Maybe that'll be a members only video in 2023, Mo, just so it doesn't necessarily go all out to the YouTube sphere. Dana Olson, Peter, how many hours of sleep do you get a night? Try to get 8 every night. I try to get 8. Mark Bass, would you be able to have a YouTube subscriber on one of your juries? There's nothing outlawing it. It would depend on kind of what your answers were. If you were like, oh, I just listen, I believe everything Peter says, then they're going to strike you. But if you say what you should say from listening to this channel is, all he ever says is, don't be biased when you come in here. Don't just listen to what a lawyer says. Don't just believe it because I say it. Listen to the evidence and listen to the law and follow the law in making your decision. If that's what you say, then you can't be struck for cause, in my opinion. It'll be up to the judge, though, if they think that you're biased towards me or towards my client or whatever it may be. So that may be an interesting question if it ever pops up. It hasn't popped up yet, but I'm waiting for it. I would literally fall over laughing if that happened in a real trial. All right, question 7. This is interesting just for me, some data for me to learn, okay? Because you guys are so great in helping me learn. You know I'm not super social media savvy or influencer savvy or stuff like that. I'm interested on how many of you guys are exclusive to one platform, how many of you are just on YouTube, subscribing on YouTube. And if you don't subscribe, click that none of the above. Because if there are some people that just don't subscribe and they don't follow, they may look at our posts on Instagram because they're public. They may watch these videos because they're public. You can click more than one option as well. You can click Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, whatever it may be. You don't have to just hit one. You can select all that apply. Most of you are saying only YouTube or just YouTube and Facebook, which is totally fine. Some of you saying Instagram and Facebook. That's totally cool. This is really interesting to me to find out how you guys consume the content, how you like to learn. Are you visual learners? Is it more Twitter? Do you like reading stuff? And yeah, no, I haven't looked at the Young Thug trial at all, Peanut. YouTube mobile app on Android. Okay, Bryce. All right, let's see here. Oh, 250 responses already. All right, so 50% on YouTube. It looks like there are a few on the none of the above. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter are smaller percentages. Tracy Lane subscribes to all 4. That's cool. Yeah, Instagram is the second biggest. So it's interesting because after YouTube, our second most followers is on Facebook, third most followers is on Twitter, and then fourth most is on Instagram, which is always interesting. And I mean, if you look at the numbers, we have like 150,000 plus on YouTube, 18 on Twitter, and 13 on Instagram. So it's interesting. Obviously, a lot more on YouTube, but I always just kind of think through that stuff. If you don't subscribe anywhere, yeah, Pat Turnpo, exactly. You guys are awesome. Like, you guys are awesome to do this with me and be cool about it and help us all learn. And that's totally fine. And to the people like Mo just said that don't subscribe on any of these platforms, that's fine. Sometimes people just don't like to hit the subscribe button. They don't like to get the alerts, emails, whatever it may be that you get if you subscribe on something like this, which I don't think you get emails on any of them unless you ask for them. But if you don't subscribe, if you click E, none of the above, let me know why. Let me know why in the comments, because statistically speaking, somewhere between 40 and 50% of the people watching this video don't actually subscribe. So if you don't subscribe, just let me know why. That's cool. Oh yeah, we are on TikTok. Somebody said, for the love of God, stay away from TikTok. We do have a TikTok. We just kind of post our Be a Lawyers on there and some of our shorts on there. It's kind of strange to me. I don't really understand fully how it works. Shane shares, trials, juries, and judges you feel got it wrong. So that's interesting. And to me, this is tough because a lot of it has to do with which witnesses they believed. Do the same poll on Facebook and Twitter, Peter. You mean ask the question and post it on Facebook and Twitter? We can do that. Let me text John and see what we can do. All right, it's going to go up there too. So we'll see. We'll see how all this kind of goes. All right, Dan's Picks is a new member. Stella by the Sea. So happy to be part of the community you have created here. Feels like family. Thank you for your character and knowledge and the respect here. Happy New Year. Thank you so much, Stella by the Sea. And again, so much of it has to do with you guys. Julia Marie. Peter, tried to ask this question lots of times, no success. Do you feel moral values are intertwined with your legal knowledge? Moral values to me are intertwined with everything I do in life. To me, everything in life is done with certain filters. People can call them biases or leans or filters or whatever you want to do, but how your outlook on life is, everybody has ways that they kind of filter that through. And I absolutely think that for me personally, my moral values are intertwined with everything that I do. Mo, I'd love it if you reviewed the full Casey Anthony trial with commentary. I missed it when it happened the first time around. I actually did too. I didn't watch the Casey Anthony trial at all. I didn't watch it at all. Maureen Doyle. Thank you, Peter, for your intelligence, maturity, and ability to teach while creating a great community. Thank you for listening to us. Wishing you and your family a joyous and healthy 2023. Same to you, Maureen. Same to you, everybody listening. You guys, if you leave and you're gone, I'm not doing it anymore, right? Like I don't need to listen to myself talk. But listening to your questions, being able to answer them, and be a part of everybody's life, and everybody be a part of mine is really fun. Yeah. Can you do more with your dad and with Pete? I've seen some comments come through. Can I do more with my dad, more with Pete, interviewing people? Absolutely. And if you guys want to check out some of our older podcast episodes, you can. Me and my dad interviewed the prosecutor of the Ted Bundy trial, was a roommate of my dad's in college. So there's some cool podcasts on there. We can do some cool stuff. I really want what you all want to hear, though. I really want to talk about what you all want to hear. Thank you so much, Susan, for this super sticker. And Laura, welcome to the membership crew. Yeah, smash that like button. Jasmine, discovered your channel because of the Depp trial. Since I have been hooked, looking forward on what's to come this upcoming year. Thank you so much, Jasmine. And that's the point, is so many people started with Depp or Brooks or whatever it may be. You started, you stayed, and you make every discussion better. And we bring in, what's really fun is to have lay people that are not entrenched in the law all day, every day, coming in with some knowledge and experience from other cases. You've seen this before. You've seen real trials. So when people try to tell you this never happens in a trial, and you've seen a trial where it has happened, then you know, and you can be like, no, actually, sometimes that does happen in trials. And we're going to talk through that together. And a lot of them are very different. Steph Morris, thank you so much for the super sticker. All right, last question here. Favorite types of content that we provide on this channel? I think I know where this is going based on some of the other answers already, but let's see what you guys said. Granny Plum, welcome to the crew. V-Dog said, I feel safe here. Well, V-Dog, that's funny because I actually had a friend text in. Actually, it was one of my wife's friend text in and say, when all you guys were making fun of me for this hat, not making fun of me, but cracking jokes about how I said I didn't know what this brand was, and I'm literally wearing this brand. It's my wife's hat, and I tell you, she's the fashionista. She knows this stuff. I don't. But you guys were all cracking on me for that. You may feel safe here, but we crack jokes. We rip on each other. There's some sarcasm. It's funny. It's all fun and games. We come from a good place. We're respectful. It is funny. And I love when you guys crack jokes about me, and it's always respectful. It's all out of love. It literally makes me laugh hard. When you guys say stuff, if I end up having a mustache and all my different facial hair experiments that you guys like to make fun of and stuff. I'm shocked nobody said anything about my jacket that I'm wearing here. I keep it up in North Carolina, and I'm going to minimize this, and we're going to talk about the jacket here in a second. Yeah, not a surprise one bit. The live recaps on trials, hearings, interrogations, depots, videos is number one. We will keep doing that. That is never going anywhere. That's what built this channel. And honestly, that's how the interaction, the relationships are built. Most of the learning is done. That's really why I want to talk about some of the lessons we learned this year. Because when we talk about mainstream media not always getting it right, because we see the trial together. When we talk about self-defense, sometimes working, sometimes not working, we can see how it plays out differently in a trial, where lawyers can absolutely make a difference on a trial. We can tell that by comparing these trials together and recapping them. Judges can make a difference in the trial and how it goes one way or the other. People waiving their rights, we learn that together on these types of lives. And also, very importantly, horrible accusations, horrible, heinous crimes. People can be accused, they can be arrested, they can be charged, they can even be tried. And sometimes Adnan Syed, the big serial podcast, they can even be convicted and end up getting that overturned, end up being not guilty, and in some circumstances end up being innocent. And we learn that together. We learn that together, how we see, how is it possible? So many jurors walk into a trial and they think, if the cops arrested this guy, if the state prosecuted this guy, obviously he did it. They know what they're doing more than us. We don't want to get this wrong. But we learn that together. This year, we'll continue to learn that. The system isn't perfect. They don't only arrest guilty people. They don't only prosecute guilty people. And sometimes they even convict sometimes people that aren't guilty. We learn that together. And so the lessons being learned with the lives, with the reactions, with the Q&As, that's what's most important to me. That's really what's most important to me about this. All right, that's the end of the question. So let's talk about this jacket here, okay? So as you can see, it's got the C, and that's for the high school I went to, Calvary Christian High School. And then it's got my name and the first sport that I lettered in. So it's Peter Trago's football. This is literally my legitimate high school letterman jacket. High school letterman jacket. It's got my number on it. I was quarterback number 7 for a very short period of time before I destroyed my leg playing football. I don't know if we ever talked about my my epic injury, the Joe Theismann type injury I had in high school. Maybe we'll save that for another day. But since the Letterman jacket is here, and I'm wearing my high school Letterman jacket while we're in North Carolina, because it's so heavy and it's never cold enough in Florida for me to wear it. So I keep it here and wear it every year when we come, and it's a good way to reminisce. The jacket still fits, John. Jacket still fits. The sleeves are perfect length, everything. I mean, the jacket, it fits like a glove. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I definitely weigh more. I'm probably 25 pounds heavier than I was in high school, but I guess the jacket was a little bit bigger, so I fill it out nicely now. But here's something that's interesting. So here's a good question. A couple good questions coming in. So we have some more questions to go to. We're not done just yet. But here's a question for you. How many sports, and I was messing with my nephew today, telling him if he can letter in more sports than I did, then I'll give him some kind of prize at the end of his high school career. How many sports do you think I varsity lettered in? And I went to a small Christian school, just so you all know. Small Christian school, and I'll tell you the sports, they're not that impressive, but it is kind of funny to think about. It's more sports than you'd expect somebody to letter in. All right, so I see a lot of 3 and a lot of 4. Yep, a lot of 3 and a lot of 4s. Bev Peter, I'd love to hear a discussion to include multiple folks from the office about how social media has impacted your law practice, if at all. Absolutely. And, we've done this, Bev, but I think it would actually be really cool to update it because it's ever changing and it's a groundswell. 7, 5, 5, 4, 3, 5, 4. Football, baseball, and golf, somebody guessed. All of them, somebody guessed. That would be cool. Ping pong, tennis, and golf. That's funny. Varsity is like upper levels. There's junior varsity for the younger kids or lower level, and then varsity. Anya, Dr. Anya, Happy New Year from me and Lux Leonis. Go Knowles. Everyone, let's like the video. All the best to the lawyer we know community, or lawyer you know community. Thank you so much. Can you explain waiving extradition? I'm confused. So you can fight it and say, I'm not the right guy. Don't take me over to that state. This has nothing to do with me, whatever it may be. But if you waive it, you just say, you basically are saying, I am Brian. I am the guy they think I am. I didn't do this, whatever. You're not admitting anything like that or waiving any rights like that. But you can take me over there, whether I sit in a Pennsylvania prison or an Idaho prison, doesn't make a difference. P-Hop, you even take it well when you are on mute and we call you Elaine. Oh, man. It's more brutal for me than you. I'm like, oh, it's like the ultimate face palm when I have it on mute and I go off on a tangent here. Nancy and Peter, I keep looking for a cool golf club shirt for you at a consignment and thrift stores. What is your size? Large, usually. Large usually is my size. And I actually am trying to do something cool to display all of the amazing golf shirts that you guys have sent over 2022. That's one of the highlights of my year is the golf shirts from courses I've never played, but I have multiple golf trips that I'm going to plan to hit these courses that I already have shirts at that you guys have recommended. I'm really excited to do that. Azam, my faves, your recap of Camille's cross with Rob and 100K subscriber Peter Sparrow celebration. Learned a lot from you, and I lost a lot of sleep too. Sorry, Azam. Time Zone, Happy New Year, Peter. Looking forward to 2023, Azam, and we love having you, another staple of the channel and the chat. Very cool. Thank you, Azam. D-Trug, listening to you from the UK. Happy New Year's and looking forward to your coverage of the Murdaugh trial. Straight out of a John Grisham novel. Honestly, D-Trug, you want my honest opinion? John Grisham would never write a novel like this because nobody would believe it. Nobody would think it's this true or somebody could get away with this many things. It's wild. Ellen, not Sarah Lee. Peter, my uncle is one of the biggest Carhartt dealers in the East Coast. Army Navy store, Lexington, North Carolina. That is so cool. I guess I need to sport more Carhartt. Maybe they can sponsor the next video. Very cool. That's awesome. Lauren Hertz, Peter, is that why you specialize in injury law? And we're talking now about the broken leg, I assume. So this is funny. I went to Florida State as a pre-med undergrad. And that's why I loved my orthopedic surgeon. I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. And then I hated science. I hated the labs. I pivoted to pre-law, going to law school. And I love the science and the medical part of being a personal injury lawyer. So yes, it absolutely had something to do with it. Good pickup, Lauren, on that. Patty, Peter, one thing that every subscriber should be looking to understand is some of the political issues going on. I wish one of the lawyers with the platform would dig into some of the craziness going on. Patty, I got to be real honest with you. I don't find a lot of interest in politics. I'm not an expert in politics. I'm not an expert in the political law. I am one that, people disagree with and look down upon, saying that who the president is important. I'm not saying it's not important. I think people think it's a little more important than it is on how it's going to affect our everyday life. I always think who the governor of your state is probably a little bit more important. I just I don't have the energy or the interest in fighting with anybody, especially people I very much like in the chat and on the subscriber crew. I don't like talking about this stuff because it just seems like no matter what you say, people want to fight. So I don't think I'm going to talk much about politics in 2023. There are a lot of channels that do. So if you want to hit some of those channels, I would encourage you to do so and do one you think you can learn from, and that's positive discussions. But I don't think that's what this channel is going to be for specifically. But I do appreciate your input always, and appreciate you mentioning that. Steph Morris, thanks for the super sticker. All right. how many sports did I letter in, right? So let's go through them. Football, baseball, this is varsity letter, golf, track and field. I threw disc and shot put, made it to regionals actually in discus. And then where I was top 2 in the district and made regionals, potentially my best sport my senior year was bowling. I lettered in 5 sports in high school. Those were the 5 sports. So I broke my leg. It was horrible. I couldn't walk for over a year. I could never play football again or contact sports again. I played baseball and football my freshman and sophomore years. That's where I varsity in those sports. And all 3 other sports, bowling, track and field, just throwing, and golf, I just played kind of because I couldn't play anything else. And golf, I just played my senior year, then didn't play again until after law school. I wasn't really into golf when I was younger, but it was a sport I could play with a brace on my leg, literally. It was fun, and all those sports were a lot of fun. And mainly it was because I went to a small Christian school, not because I'm some kind of an elite athlete, in case you haven't picked up on that yet. But yes, a bowling team in high school. Yes. So very fun. And there's still a bowling team now. So yeah, very cool. Yeah. Only thing left is checkers. Yeah. Or pickleball. I wish they had a pickleball team. I'm into pickleball. I've been playing it a lot. I'm starting to learn it, starting to get a little bit better at it. Anybody out there play pickleball? Let me know if any of you guys have played pickleball, because I love it and it's up and coming and I'm in. Yeah, I love bowling. I have my own ball. I haven't done it in a long time, but I need to pick it back up. All right, let's see here. We'll finish off with little Patty's question because a couple people have asked it. If you were or had been representing Koberger's lawyer, would you have advised him to keep silent or invoke Fifth Amendment? Yes. Yes. And as we've seen with so many of these interrogations, I think that's usually the right decision. A lot of people saying they like pickleball. Terry, Peter, idea for shorts, quick education points like what is hearsay, court structures, etc. You could make it fun and we could learn. That's a good point. We could do that. There are some podcasts in our feed, if you want to check it out on iTunes or SoundCloud, where my dad and I think, went through every phase of a trial. We defined a ton of legalese, and we've done a lot of things like this on old podcasts, but we can bring it back as well. Vicky, no, I broke my leg playing football. That's why I had to pivot to bowling and those other sports, because I couldn't play contact sports anymore in high school. Pickleball is, yes, it's basically a combo of tennis and ping pong. If you're a good racket sports player, I've got a buddy who's a stud at tennis, really good at ping pong, and of course, he's amazing at pickleball as well. Bev, I took bowling in college at Texas A&M, took it pass-fail, which meant I had to make a C or better. Would you believe I failed the class? That is hilarious. That is hilarious. But I bet you had fun. I bet you had a lot of fun. Pickleball is big in Florida. Yeah, we're playing it here even when it's cold and a little rainy. We're playing it out there. All right. I love you guys so much. I thank you so much for this year. You've made it amazing. Let's just keep rolling it through to 2023. Keep hanging out together. Keep showing up for the lives. Keep bringing your questions. Subscribe. Hit that reminder bell. Like the video. Say a prayer for Hogue tonight. Say a prayer for EJ tonight. I appreciate you all so much for coming. I'm going to take off now, finish the vacation. Steph Morris, my son is on a high school bowling team. Varsity, he loves it. It's a lot of fun. And you can get very competitive in bowling. Like, we were talking junk, me and some of the dudes on the other bowling teams, like it was football. It was fun. It was really fun. Okay, I'm out of here. I appreciate you all so much. Enjoy your new year. Happy New Year. Stay safe. Make good decisions. If you get in a car accident, call me. I will help you with it. If you have other questions, call me, email me. We'll work together in 2023. We've gotten so many amazing people that have called us that we're working with as clients, or that we've connected to people in other states. So feel free, lawyeryouknow@gmail.com. We handle wrongful death, catastrophic injury, car accidents, slip and falls, injury cases. We focus on nursing home abuse cases. Call us if you have questions on those, you or a family member. I'd love to help you. As I said, real lawyer, day job. I appreciate you all so much. Have a good one. Until next year, signing off as the lawyer you know. Peace.